Hi, Stefan.
Hello, Thomas. Hello. Good to see you.
To moderate today because Matthias got stuck in traffic.
Oh, okay.
He just phoned me and said,
I see. Okay.
Totally stuck since more than 20 minutes.
Oh, I see. Oh, that's so sad. Okay. So obviously a country not with a total lockdown if there is traffic jam. So
no, there's not a lock. I don't think in Germany there's total, but some restrictions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good to see you again after many years, probably almost. Huh?
Yeah, maybe I don't remember how.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, Richard.
Good afternoon. Hi.
Hi, Dirk.
I'm also with you for the moment, but I have to leave you at past already.
Patient waiting.
Yes.
Not yet waiting.
Not yet, no.
Well, we'll give just another minute and then we'll kick this off. I hope you all have your coffee with you.
I cannot live without coffee. We can do with church. We can do without church services, but not without coffee. So
the answer is to have coffee in all the church services.
well, when that would be the thing, then I think church services would be much more fun. But that's the problem. Many times in the Netherlands, at least, it's just you come to the church, be exactly in time, and you go as quickly as possible back home because then the coffee will be there.
You should move to Sweden.
In African churches or in mission churches, it's different. So that's why I always like mission churches more than normal churches. So
yeah,
you're welcome to Sweden. We always have coffee.
In all the Swedish churches?
All the Swedish churches, always.
That's really great. I think they should make that a policy, a church policy. Yeah, that would be good.
In Portugal, we just have wine. No, we don't.
Oh, yeah, that's even better. That's even better, yeah.
Well, friends, so enjoy your coffee. Welcome, Stefan Gustavsson from Sweden. Stefan is the former General Secretary for Swedish Evangelical Alliance, and Julia attended one of his webinars lately on conspiracy theories. And this had actually been an issue which we had been contemplating on for a while. And so Stefan filled the gap, which we thought would be excellent for a Zoom Café. And actually afterwards you will get the summary which Julia wrote and which has been okayed by Stefan on that webinar. So you will have something in your hands. As I already said before, Matthias Böning is stuck in traffic, totally stuck. He said, no gute Fahrt, nothing, just standing there since more than 20 minutes and no clue what happened. He can't go backwards or forward. So he asked me to moderate this Zoom Café, which I gladly do. Let me just pray for Stefan and then over to you, Stefan. Father God, thank you for this opportunity to meet. Thank you for being able to wrestle with an important issue. We want truth, Father, and we know about this question, what is truth? And we hope to get closer to truth concerning COVID today, at least also getting some insight how to find truth. Ask you that you will bless Stefan as he delivers his message and give us open ears and hearts and minds for what we hear. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you, Stefan, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation, and thank you for all of you who have put time aside to be part of this webinar. I've been given 10 minutes for a short introduction, and then there will be time for Q&A and discussions and comments and so on. It's of course a much bigger and more difficult subject than it's able to cover in 10 minutes, but I will at least share some of my thoughts. So is it possible for me to share a PowerPoint? It said the host had disabled my screen.
Sure.
Let's see again. Host disabled participant screen sharing.
Yeah, Thomas is busy already.
Go ahead.
Now it works. Great. So, conspiracy theory is a Christian response. I will just shortly share with you three points. But just as an introduction, we live in a world with some real conspiracies, and it's easy to mention contemporary or at least recent conspiracies that have been real conspiracies. So we can think of Edward Snowden and the global surveillance conspiracy, or how the US security intelligence hacked Merkel's mobile, or the Dieselgate. But we're also surrounded with so many conspiracy theories that are theories that have no basis in reality, that are false, like the Pizzagate, the claim that a certain pizzeria was the hub for a pedophile ring with the Bill and Hillary Clinton at the top of that ring, or that the royal family in the UK actually are alien lizards, reptilians that wants to take over the globe. Or we now are surrounded by so many conspiracy theories around the vaccine and around the 5G and so on, which are also false theories. So it's an ambivalent area here. There are some real conspiracies and we need to take them seriously, and they need to be exposed. And there are so many conspiracy theories that are lies, that are just rumors, or they are false. So how navigate in this kind of terrain? 3 short points for us as Christian. Firstly, we need to have our attitude from the New Testament. And in the New Testament, the whole concept of truth, and truth being, of course, related to reality, is so important. We believe in truth. We confess that Jesus is the truth. We are dealing with an open truth that is accessible to other people. You can test it. You can investigate into it. We are not Gnostics who have secret truths, but it's an open message, an open truth. And there is a strong rejection of myth in the New Testament. We do not believe in myth and legends. And there is an interesting word in 1 Timothy, one of the 5 places where the New Testament used the Greek word myth. And there's a warning for people delving into different kinds of myths and legends. They devote themselves to myth, to controversial speculations, rather than advancing God's work. And Paul is warning for those people who are dragged into myths and speculations, instead of advancing God's work with the open truth about Jesus Christ. They have turned to meaningless talk. I think this is very relevant for what's going on in the world today, and also in many Christian circles today. Secondly, we need to have a Christian attitude that relates to our own history, because we as Christians have been the victims of conspiracy theories. And I think this is a key point to realize. There were conspiracies against Jesus. So people accused him of having teamed up with the devil, doing the miraculous things, not in God's power, but with the help of Satan. Now, that's a conspiracy theory. The first disciples, they were accused of a conspiracy, that they have conspired together to remove the dead body of Jesus and bury it somewhere else, and then to lie publicly, proclaiming that God had raised Jesus. So some of the leaders of their day accused them for a conspiracy theory. And we can think of the Christians in Rome, the summer 64, when the capital of the empire was on fire. And the Emperor Nero accused the Christians, the Christian congregation in Rome, you are responsible for the fire. Now, we as Christians, we have arguments against those conspiracy theories against Jesus and the first disciples and our Christian brothers and sisters in Rome in the 60s. Now, here's the key point. We say those conspiracies are not reasonable to believe. There are better explanations for the power of Jesus and for the what happened with the body of Jesus and for the fire of Rome. Now, here's the point. We as Christians need a coherent attitude. We cannot reject previous conspiracy theories directed at the gospel if we simultaneously today affirm newer conspiracy theories which are based on similar way of reasoning that those conspiracy theories against us. You cannot say no in one case and yes in another if the arguments and the reasoning behind it are similar. And thirdly, of course, what's the big deal today is the contemporary conspiracy theories. How do we deal with them? And there are many, and some of them are totally crazy, and some of them are more serious and needs some thinking. Here we need to equip each other, and we need to help to equip Christians. And I think we need to be aware of this. Christians are prone to accept conspiracy theories, to some degree, somewhat more than the general public, for two reasons. First, there's a theological reason that can open people for conspiracy theories, and that is the truth that we believe in a spiritual reality, and that there are things going on that we do not see, that reality is bigger, and there is more to truth than meets the eye. So we know there is an evil power conspiring against, you can say, God and his people. So the whole concept of something strange going on is not foreign for a Christian. That can make a Christian more open to modern conspiracy theories. And secondly, there's a psychological reason, and there's been research done about this. If you politically stand far to the left or far to the right, you are more prone to accepting conspiracy theories. And the reason is that by being a left-wing or right-wing person, really far out in the on either of their sides, you have already paid a cultural price, a cost for leaving the mainstream and taking your political position. So then there is almost no additional cost to affirming another position outside mainstream. Now, of course, we as Christians, we are not politically left-wing or right-wing, but we have left mainstream on some other crucial issues. So we believe in a personal creator God, and we believe in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, who has been raised from the dead and who is now the Lord of the universe. That is to place yourself outside the mainstream. And you pay a certain cultural cost for that. Now, there's not much of an additional cost to accept other things outside the mainstream. And here we really need to help Christians to see that, yes, we should really pay the price of following Christ, but that does not mean that we, on all other issues, should be outside mainstream. Sometimes a more mainstream position is the true and right position. And here is a strong force within conspiracy theories. Stephen Law, he's an atheist, a philosopher. He says conspiracy theories, they are intellectual black holes. And I think he is really right. There is such strong forces drawing people into those black holes, and it's difficult to come out again. The conspiracy theories are built mainly on grave epistemic mistakes. By focusing on unresolved questions, on gaps in our knowledge, on uncertainties or ambiguities or puzzling details or minor contradictions, people form a conspiracy theory instead of a cumulative case for the best explanation. So people don't take the whole picture into account, but they focus on some minor details and then go for very weird explanations. So we need to help people to think through how you evaluate evidences and form a best explanation. We need to help people to have a healthy form of skepticism. For example, in regard to media. Media is biased, no doubt about that, but are they corrupt? That's two different things. Media is biased. They sometimes ignore things, but are they really corrupt, mainstream media? I would say no. They love to expose conspiracies, political, economical frauds. They thrive on that kinds of scandals. So they are not part themselves of that kind of conspiracies. They love to expose them. So they are biased, yes, but I wouldn't say they are corrupt. We need to have a consistent attitude. For example, in relationship to big pharma, there is a lot of problem in relationship to big pharma. But still, I notice people who are critical towards the vaccine, still if they are sick in COVID-19, they happily accept all the treatment from the hospitals and from big pharma. It does not hang together. I receive so many mails of people warning for Bill Gates, but they send those warnings in Word documents, probably sent from a PC. So they happily accept a lot of things around Bill Gates, but not other. So we need to have some kind of consistency here. Just let me finish. My time has run out. I think in relationship to people involved in conspiracy theories, we need to learn to return the compliment. So conspiracy theories say people are corrupted. You can trust what they are saying. And we can just not. That's true. And that's true for the conspiracy theorists also. People have agendas, power, money, influence, fame. Yeah, but that goes for those people who are launching conspiracy theories also. Things are not what they seem to be. No, that's true. They are not what the conspiracy theories says they are. So, we need to have a healthy skepticism on both sides, so to speak. Let me end with something I found on Twitter, I think. Someone said, if you one-up conspiracy theorists, they don't know what to do. For example, someone is telling you, the moon landing was fake. And then you can respond, oh, you're one of those guys that believe in the moon. And I think that wonderfully captures some of the things I want to communicate with you today. Okay, I stop my PowerPoint here, and I leave over to you, Thomas. I don't know how you want to go from here.
Actually, I can take over. Thank you so much, Stefan. So this is Matthias from the EEA office. Sorry for being late. I think somebody wanted to stop me being on time in this
conspiracy.
It's
you believe in time?
Do I believe in time? Great. We're in the middle of our discussion. That's actually what we want to embark on now. So first of all, thanks so much, Stefan, for these thoughts and insights. And yeah, we want to open the discussion to the floor and give you the chance to contribute your views, but also maybe ask some questions to Stefan. Let me just remind you that this is a recorded session. We want to make this available to others on the EEA website. So please keep that in mind. If you don't want to appear with name and face in this recording, you can also type in your question or your feedback, and I'll read that out anonymously. So
we're talking about open truth, isn't it?
Sorry?
We are talking about open truth.
We are talking about open truth. Yeah, that's right.
You were there when Stefan presented.
Good. So yeah, please feel free to share your perspectives and opinions. Either raise your hand or use that reaction buttons that Zoom gives you. Yes, Jan, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Stefan, for your presentation. I think for me the most important part was the text you mentioned from 1 Timothy. And I think it really captures what I always see as the crucial point in all these conspiracy theories, namely that they do not look at how God's work can progress, but that they are always based on fear and on limiting all kinds of things, and not on how to preach the gospel or make sure that people know Jesus. And it's very much fear-based always, and always more limiting than freeing up space for communication and working together in the kingdom. So that was a very important text for me. That really gave me some good insights, actually.
I think you are totally right. It's based and driven on fear.
Mm.
And if you think about, I had no time to go into the conspiracies against us. If you think about the situation where Jesus have driven out evil spirits and healed that person, and then there is this accusation. It's through Beelzebul. It's through the devil. He's doing that. That's a kind of fear-based accusation. It's you can feel the emotion. Someone saying it's the devil. But what is pointing in the direction that this is the devil? Something just wonderful, beautiful has happened. Someone who has been imprisoned by evil is now restored to full health. So there is joy and beauty, and that is connected to all the other things Jesus is doing, which is always to free people, to restore people. So there's nothing behind this accusation, but if you just say it with enough intensity, you can create fear within people. Oh, we are standing in front of the evil power, even though everything points in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So
I always use Matthew 5, the first verses of Matthew 5, or Galatians Galatians 5 as a kind of a framework to see what it does actually. Does it bring peace, joy, those kind of things, or does it bring the opposite? And that helps me many times to really see, but okay, there's more behind this than, I mean, when you just look at QAnon, for example, and what they have caused in America, what Trump has done, for example, those kind of things, then when you put that framework on it, then you can easily see what is really harming in those kind of things, and it doesn't promote the work of God.
I totally agree.
What do some of the others think about this?
Stefan, I think I probably could have used another good half an hour of hearing you first. So maybe we can get a part 2 sometime. That would just be my little dig in there. I came across this fantastic quote the other day, so I wrote it down by Cantor. We tend to discover the past we set out to find. I would say that's probably true for most things. We find the story that we look to find. And I think the conversation is quite easy amongst us, because I don't sense that any of us are conspiracy theorists. But how do you even go about speaking to someone who's just dedicated to conspiracy theory? And I mean, I'm not even talking the world. Let's just talk about our brothers and sisters in Christ. How do you even get them to stop and listen? Because there are conspiracy theorists in my family, and I just can't even get them to slow down, to listen to what I would call reason. So where do you go? How do you start?
Yeah, that's difficult and partly painful. So I have, to some degree, some bad news. Research says that it is quite difficult for people who have entered into these intellectual black holes to come out again. It's possible, it happens, but it is a difficult process. So in one sense, what is much more easy is to vaccinate, if I can say so, people who are not yet conspiracy theorists. So I think we have a very important job in helping people not to be drawn into conspiracy theories. And the research says that it is possible to help people to see the difference between a conspiracy theory and a more serious explanation. So that's the good news. And we need to do some work in the churches here to help people in this area so not more are drawn into. But then, of course, like you said, we have friends and families, and there are people in our churches that are already have been drawn into and accepted conspiracy theories. Now it's possible to come out. I saw an interesting interview with the CNN journalist Cooper Anderson Cooper. Yeah, I don't know if you know the man's a big name in CNN. He was talking with a guy in the US who was a former conspiracy theorist. And he told the story that not long ago, I actually believed that you, Anderson Cooper, were eating children, that you were drinking the blood of children. I thought you were a cannibal. So he has been really deep into conspiracy theories of the most bizarre and strange type. Now, he didn't tell us the whole story of how he came out, but he had come out, and of course that is possible, but usually not by hard argumentation. I think many of us have experienced that. So it's like in evangelism, in many situations, it is about loving people, listening to people, continue to walk together with people, pray for people, and then hopefully God will give us openings to start conversations and start processes that can help people to see things in a new light. So I don't have a wonderful technique to solve the issue.
In your longer presentation, Stefan, you pointed to UNESCO papers, small papers, very helpful, which actually also tackle that subject about how you get people to think twice. And I think that's actually one of the keys, if it's possible to engage in a conversation, to actually plant questions in people's minds. It's the same with people who are in cults. You can't convince them with arguments, but you can have the conversation and plant questions and have patience and pray.
Yeah.
Julia.
So yeah, in the webinar and the discussion, one comment I found very helpful, that just as if we are witnessing to someone, we are patient, we are loving, we ask the right questions, we listen very carefully. So that's how you talk to people who believe in conspiracy theories. So yeah, my gut feeling is just to say, stop being so stupid. Like, that's not going to help.
No.
It's really not going to help. But being a loving friend, and often, you talked, Stefan, about people, that's people who believe in conspiracy theories. There's fear there, but there can also be a desire for belonging. So if I'm in the gang that believes QAnon, I'm in the gang and I feel good. There can be fear, there can be a sense of belonging and solidarity, that the world is less scary because I'm with a group of people. So just thinking about that.
Yeah, absolutely right. Conspiracy theories have been with us as human beings since the fall. And it's known throughout history, but they are increased in times of turmoil and uncertainties. And we are living in such a time where in so many areas there are uncertainties. We don't know what will happen. We are entering a new phase in history. And that creates a lot of insecurity. And then it is a strong feeling when someone gives you a key of understanding. People say, you should view it like this, even though it's in one sense really bad news, that it's a conspiracy or media or politicians or big pharma, they are totally corrupt. But just by giving a kind of mental understanding of what's going on gives you a sense of security, and it can even give you a sense of superiority, that you have seen what the rest have not realized. And I'm not talking down on this, because if we think of people coming to Christ, they, of course, on a psychological level, there are similar experiences in a world which previously was chaotic. Now you see a pattern, a structure. You have discovered something that is really important, but many others have not. And that is really a good feeling. Now in Christianity, that is connecting to being related to the actual truth and so on. But psychologically, I think there are similar things going on. That's why people are drawn into it, because it gives a belonging, a slightly more stable situation you feel than just living in with uncertainties and chaos. I think also in terms of, we should ask questions. So people are skeptical towards mainstream science, mainstream media. And there's always reasons to be skeptical towards human activity and ask questions. But the same kind of questions needs to be raised against, okay, this blogger, this YouTuber, this doctor who is saying that. Why should we believe them more than this whole establishment of so many more people, of so much more competence and so on? So asking questions about why, being critical towards these people, and then rely on that individual or that YouTuber.
Graham.
I was just going to say or ask about some of the things that you were just saying. My own observation is that conspiracy theories come and go. So I can remember when the Antichrist was the Pope, and then it was Ronald Reagan, and then it was I'm not sure who it is at the moment, but the ideas come and go, and they run their course. But conspiracy theorists and the fact that people latch onto these things, that endures. And although it's not, I've got people I know well who've got some pretty wacky ideas. They're not in my own family, so it's not quite so personal. But when you have conversations with these people, one of the things that I have encountered often is just this sense of pride in the superior knowledge and in being part of a kind of an in crowd. And I think one of the safeguards is just this kind of community where you can interact with people that see things differently and have different perspectives, but we come hopefully with the humility to listen to one another and to think, well, actually maybe I haven't got this all quite right here, and maybe I need to listen to what somebody else is saying. And that is often lacking. Oh, the other expression of the Antichrist was the EU, of course, which is why Britain have left. So and that one is true. Everybody knows that.
Everybody in Britain knows that.
Yeah.
They only know that in Britain, not the rest of the world just thinks these Brits are just stupid. So,
well, you'd expect a race of people ruled by a bunch of lizards to think that, wouldn't you? So.
Stefan, one question from my side. In the direction of how to deal with this as a church or as the church, and also from the pastoral side. Sometimes I think we struggle, maybe especially in evangelicalism, but maybe also across Christianity, with really living up to that biblical ideal of leading and guiding believers to maturity, which means thinking themselves, not just hearing the word and the preaching and following the preacher, but actually following the Lord and following Scripture. And sometimes I think whether there's a correlation also there. Could it be that our teaching on leading believers into maturity is not so strong, because at the same time it's quite risky, for us as institutions to guide believers to maturity, because then they start asking difficult and nagging questions, maybe even to me as a leader?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. And the easiest way is not to, or is to ignore that calling to be leaders who help people to grow into maturity, because it's difficult, it's challenging. But I don't think we have really an option. We need as leaders to help people if we want to be leaders who can lead others. If we think of our time, it's so many things that are both a blessing and a curse. If we think of the digital world, internet, and all that goes with that, it's a wonderful blessing. So we have now easy access to so much good material, so many really good Christian leaders and thinkers and theologians and Bible expositors and so on. It's marvelous, the kind of resources we have access to. But at the same time, so many unhealthy things are spreading in the same way. And of course, the individual Christian sits with their computer and are just wave after wave of stupid things are coming their way through Facebook and Twitter and social media and so on. So here we need to educate people in how we can sift through this. What is high quality, what is not? What should just be ignored? And what should be taken seriously and thought through and so on. And especially since we are living in a time where it's easy today to produce something which to its form looks very attractive, a YouTube video which is really professionally made, but with a really poor or false content. So people are swept away by the form. That would be one example, that we need to help people to think through the content. Or people are swept away by, it is someone with an academic degree claiming something. But anybody of us who has been in the academic world, we know that not everything in the academic world and not every person with a PhD is really a great thinker or always have good motives. So it's not enough that it is a highly intelligent or highly educated person who says something. It still needs to be evaluated. And most of the conspiracy theories comes through the internet today. So we need to have this kind of education for amongst us as Christians.
Interestingly enough, in the chat, there was a comment leading in the exact opposite direction. Let me put it in my words. If you wanna, and if you need to curate content on the internet, maybe re-establishment of some authority of a preacher needs to happen, who actually has done that curation and then communicates it to his congregation. So maybe one of the problems of conspiracy theorists is exactly that they are thinking too independently and too mature in that sense. Interesting, because that's exactly the opposite. So how can we at the same time on a collective level in the church reinstall that curating of content, what's out there, mode of working with a group?
I don't think we want to go the earlier Roman Catholic way of having a list of forbidden books or a list of forbidden people to listen to or a list of forbidden YouTube videos. So that's not the way. But of course, we should recommend what we know is the best evangelical resources. So direct people to good sources for knowledge. And then we need to give people tools so they gradually themselves can be better in analyzing what they are seeing, and better see through that which is just naked affirmations. Because so much of the conspiracy theories are not built on real evidence that is open to investigation, but it's just assertions that are thrown our way, not real evidence, and then a conclusion. This is the best explanation of all the evidence. So I think a mixture of helping people to find the best resources and put their time into those resources, and then help people to develop their own tools of testing things and just keep what is good. Like Paul is saying about prophecy, test everything and keep just that which is good.
Thanks. I see Wissam's hand, Angela's hand, and Graham again. Wissam.
You can hear me. Wissam, I work with the World Evangelical Alliance. I'm Lebanese, and I've been reflecting on this issue of conspiracy theory. And for me, as a Lebanese, I mean, the Arab world, we've been object of conspiracy theories for the past 5 to 10 decades. I don't know. I mean, we've been the recipient end of conspiracy theories, theological, pseudo-biblical conspiracy theories. So this is not new. And working in human rights, you know, we face this a lot. But up until recently, I mean, I've been having confrontation, not conversation, but I've engaged a lot with relatives, Christian missional relatives, and have failed to get them to change, despite everything that happened in the US and elsewhere. So on one hand, I'm very pessimistic. On the other hand, I just want to throw an idea. A solution is that if the fear is the cause of the problem, then let's combat fear with fear. And let's push as a church, and Matthias' question, let's push the idea of instilling fear, of undermining the mission of God through conspiracy theory. I don't know. I mean, we should push through the church. We are unique. We are a missional people. We have a mission. We have a mandate. We have a calling. And conspiracy theory is undermining our witness. When people I know who are Christian missional put conspiracy theories on Facebook. And why not, you know, play on this aspect and say that this is, I mean, aren't we afraid as Christians of undermining God's mission through this? Are we thinking 100 times before we post something and what it means, what it impacts? I mean, it's an idea that came to mind, even though personally I've grown this, I don't know, I've been struggling a lot with relatives on this and haven't gotten anywhere in recent months and years. So thank you for the presentation.
Thank you. And I'm very well aware of that. My experience of conspiracy theories are, of course, from my secure place in Sweden and reading only the English language besides the Nordic languages. So there's of course a lot of things that I am unaware of and have no competence in discussing. My first reaction was that I was a little bit skeptical to combat fear with fear, but when I understood what you meant by fear, I think you have a point. If you know, if it's the fear of God and the mission for the kingdom that is, we show that this is at stake, then it is a right fear. And I think if I speak about the situation here in Sweden, I think for too many people, political issues and questions have grown to be so enormously important. Now, I think political involvement is important. I'm not trying to deny that at all, but it's just one part of life. And as a Christian, I have other priorities. Political involvement is not the main thing in my life. And I don't put my trust in that how we solve a political or a technical or a medical issue, that is the kind of salvation. I have my hope and my salvation elsewhere. And then I work with political or medical issues and so on under that umbrella that I'm a Christian. I believe in the Creator God. I believe in Jesus as the Lord who is coming back. I believe in the mission of the church and so on. So I think here is an important aspect of challenging people in terms of priorities, because people that are drawn into conspiracy theories, it seems to me, those theories kind of take become the wrong priorities in their lives.
I saw Angela and Graham. Maybe if there are other hands, please point them out again to me. But Angela.
My hand was to say goodbye to Jan Wessels, nothing more, but thank you.
This is also nice. Thanks, Angie. Graham.
I was going back to thinking about how do we help equip people, and I mean, some of the points have been picked up in other responses, but if our job as leaders is to help people engage with the Lord, to help them engage with Jesus, and Stefan was just used the phrase, people caught in these things get drawn toward them, and our role is to help people get drawn toward Jesus. Another thing that Paul encouraged us to do, whatever's good, whatever's noble, whatever's trustworthy, think on these things. And the more, and I'm aware of this in my own life. I just think the more I have become attracted by things that in the end were nothing, they had nothing in them. I look back and I think I was drawn toward those, but actually that drew me really away from the affection that I have for Jesus, and that I long to have for Jesus, and that I long for other people to be able to find. And I think that's something in this whole thing, is to give people tools. Particularly, we're working a lot with younger leaders at the moment, and there are just many things that assault them. And as they mature, we want to help them mature not around our ideas, but around the idea of let's make sure Jesus is always the center of this. And so if this new idea that you're working with keeps Jesus at the center and draws you toward him and draws other people toward him, then it's worth pursuing. If it doesn't, then you have to question it and say, where does this fit? Not necessarily to discard it, but just to say, where does it fit in my priorities? Again, somebody used that word earlier on. Just strikes me as important principles then.
Yeah, that's a good perspective.
Do we have any more reactions, questions? Connie.
If you want to study more about this, there's a lot of academic research going on. Stockholm University has some things in English. Cambridge University, if you Google conspiracy theories in Cambridge University, you can find resources. EU on their website have a section on conspiracy theories. So there is a lot of easy, accessible stuff out there for if we want to dig deeper into the more of the scientific research around this. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted someone here.
No, I was just going to ask, Stefan, do you have any of this recorded elsewhere? So do you have, I know ELF is, Focal often has stuff with you on it. Does Focal have anything?
No, I have my best presentation on this is in Swedish.
My Swedish is really bad lately.
I see. I think I had a webinar for IFES, and I guess that's on the internet. It might be something that I will have at the ELF, but I think so far it's the IFES webinar.
Yeah. We're going to send you my notes from that webinar, but also with a link to the original webinar, so you can hear the whole thing and the discussion. So you should, hopefully the office will send that out later today.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I think there are no further reflections and points. We don't need to fill the whole hour. All of us are probably also fine with a couple of minutes break before you probably jump to the next e-meeting, if your reality is like my reality, which I'm quite sure it is these days. And I also think we don't need to fill the rest of the time going to breakout rooms, which we sometimes do in the EEA Zoom Café. So let me just point out to you that we'll have our next EEA Zoom Café at the end of March. It's always the last Wednesday of the month, as you know. So this brings us to 31st of March, again at 1 p.m. CET, which is 12 UK time. And we'll have Thomas Schirmacher, the new WA General Secretary, then being our guest with an input from his side, and then Q&A and just a conversation with him. So feel free to join then again, and also to pass the word on to others who might be interested in that format. Could I, this is a jump into the cold water now, but could I ask you, Richard, maybe to pray with us as we close? But before we do that, I just want to check there's nothing more from your side you want to share or say. Also looking to Thomas, is there any word of wisdom that you want to share with us as we close?
Two things. One, concerning the topic, we have tried to not make statements in controversial issues concerning conspiracy theories or truth or whatever when it comes to COVID, because we know there are also different opinions which people can have, and they are not necessarily to be placed in conspiracy theories. It's easy to badmouth people or put them in a corner just because they have a different opinion, which happens often these days. So we try to raise questions, help people think through things, and help people to mature. So that has been very much our approach also in this. And especially, for instance, when it comes to people having the vaccine or not, or stuff like that. Why argue with people? Give them good reasons, to good questions to think through, and point them to resources, and let them make up their mind. And for people coming from other time zones, I think I think there's nobody here. It is CETS, the next Zoom Café, because summertime will start on the 28th of March.
Very good hint. These are the Swiss. Always, when it comes to time, they are always.
Well, I'm not famous about that.
Sorry, Thomas, for that. No, thanks from my side to Stefan. It was great to have you here in this Zoom Café. Thanks for sharing. And indeed, we're going to post this IFES webinar together with this recording on the EEA website. You might want to visit the EEA website sometime in the next days, and then you'll find that. And yeah, with this I hand over. Oh, Stefan, sorry, did you want to say something?
No, thank you. It was good to see you all again, and thank you for having me here. I think this is a discussion that will continue for quite some time. So it's very important for us to help each other to sharpen our understanding and think through what kind of attitude we can have on those issues. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks, Stefan.
Thank you. Yeah, Richard, could I ask you to pray with us?
Yeah, that's great. Well, Father, we come to you as the author of truth, and of those who know he who is the way, the truth, and the life. And we thank you that all truth resides in you. And thank you for what we've just learned today. Thank you for the expertise that Stefan has brought. And Lord, we know that your truth is wrapped in love, and just pray that you will give us the wisdom as we reflect on these things, and as we meet friends and family and others who have a different perspective on this, Lord. And I just pray that you help us to carry your love and your presence, as well as our confidence in your truth, into all of those situations. And we pray for your kingdom to come. We know that your kingdom is truth, Lord, and we know that that your light will dispel darkness as your kingdom comes more and more. So we just pray, Father, that you will equip us through this knowledge in these particular circumstances, but also that your kingdom will grow, that lies and conspiracy and untruth will be dispelled. We just give thanks to you, Lord. We give praise to you for your glory, and pray now that you'll be with each one of us as we go into the rest of our day. Pray for your blessing on all that we do. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you all. See you in 1 month's time at the latest, hopefully. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
So, I'm staying. Is Matthias gone? He's gone. I'll message him separately.
I can convey a message to him if you want to.
I chased him up in chat about some emails I've sent, which I'm not sure he's received. So I was just going to say I can follow them up again, but hopefully he's got the message and he'll respond to me. But never mind. Thanks, Thomas.
Great. Blessings. Bye-bye.